I am aligned with divine purpose. These 7 words hold the power to shift your entire reality if you truly absorb their meaning. In a world constantly pushing us to chase, to compare, to hustle without pause, there's something revolutionary about waking up and reminding yourself, I'm not wandering, I'm not lost, I am aligned with divine purpose. It's not just a sentence, it's a spiritual declaration that grounds your identity and positions your life toward meaning. When you truly believe you are aligned with divine purpose, you stop allowing the noise of the world to distract you. You stop being reactive to the chaos and instead become anchored in clarity. Let's talk about real life. Think of someone walking through a thick fog with no GPS, no signposts. They move nervously, hesitantly. Every sound makes them flinch. They're unsure of where to place their foot next. Now imagine someone walking the same path, but with a compass and a destination already imprinted on their mind. They may still walk through the same fog, but they move with confidence, with courage, because they know where they're headed. That's the power of alignment. You see, alignment isn't about having a perfect plan. It's about trusting the divine blueprint already within you. You don't have to see the whole staircase to know you're on the right one. Every morning, when you open your eyes and tell yourself that you're aligned with divine purpose, you begin to walk differently. You stop chasing what isn't yours. You stop being anxious over what others are doing. You become aware that your journey is yours, authored by a higher force, orchestrated by wisdom that's far above human logic. Purpose is not something you find on a distant mountaintop or in a fancy seminar. It's not something external waiting to be discovered. Purpose is already planted inside you. It's in your heart, your unique gifts, your experiences, even your wounds. But it only becomes active when you align with it, when you acknowledge it, when you stop resisting who you were created to be. Let's take a practical example. Imagine a young woman who always loved helping others, but ended up working in a cold corporate job because it paid well. Every day, she felt drained. She'd look in the mirror and feel disconnected, not because she was weak, but because she was misaligned. One morning, she sits in silence and says, "That I am aligned with divine purpose." And in that still moment, something clicks. She remembers her passion, her love for service, her joy in lifting others. From that moment, she starts taking small steps back into alignment. Maybe she doesn't quit her job immediately, but she begins volunteering, speaking, coaching, listening to her true calling again. Suddenly, energy returns, joy resurfaces, peace settles in. That's alignment. Alignment doesn't mean everything gets easy. It means everything gets meaningful. Challenges still come, but now they shape you instead of shaking you. You stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and start asking, "What is this preparing me for?" That shift in question alone changes how you see life. When you're aligned, your pain isn't pointless. Your delays aren't defeats. Even your quiet seasons aren't empty. They're sacred. And here's another truth. Alignment protects you from distraction. When you're not aligned, almost anything can seem like an opportunity. But when you are aligned, You don't need to chase what's not meant for you. You no longer accept every invitation, every trend, every detour. You begin to choose what resonates with your soul, not just what looks good on the surface. You realize that success that violates your purpose is failure in disguise. Think about nature. The sun doesn't compare itself to the stars. The ocean doesn't try to shrink into a lake. A tree doesn't rush its growth to match the one beside it. Why? Because they are aligned. They simply rise, root, and bloom in their own divine timing. You were made to live the same way, not constantly proving yourself, but moving with intention and peace because you trust the timing and the calling God has placed over your life. So, when you tell yourself every morning, I am aligned with divine purpose, you are not just hyping yourself up. You are speaking to the deepest truth of your being. You are activating the frequency of focus, the rhythm of peace, and the energy of direction. You become less chaotic and more creative, less reactive and more reflective. You move through your day, not as a leaf blown by the wind, but as a seed growing into its destiny. Let this truth soak into your soul. Alignment is not about perfection. It's about positioning. It's waking up every morning, silencing the noise, and choosing to move in the direction that honors the highest version of who you are. You are not here by chance. You are here by choice, God's choice. And that means your life matters, your voice matters, your path matters. So walk it boldly, intentionally, and aligned with divine purpose. These words may look simple, but when truly believed, they can shatter the prison of regret and free you to live in your full potential. Too many people live their lives chained to moments that no longer exist. They replay their mistakes like broken records, reliving what they said, what they lost, or what they should have done. But life was never meant to be lived in reverse. The past is a classroom, not a sentence. The only thing you were ever supposed to take from it was wisdom. When you tell yourself this powerful truth each morning, I am not my past, you begin to separate your identity from your experience. You begin to recognize that what you went through did not define you. It refined you. You stop labeling yourself by the chapters you've already outgrown. You stop letting the pain of yesterday speak louder than the power of today. The scars become reminders of survival, not symbols of shame. Let's look at this in the simplicity of real life. Imagine a man who once made poor financial decisions, lost money, disappointed his family, went into debt. For years, he walks around with that guilt heavy on his shoulders. Even when opportunities come, he pushes them away, thinking he's not worthy. That's what happens when we confuse what happened with who we are. But one morning, he looks in the mirror and decides to say something different. He says, I am not my past, I am my growth. That one declaration breaks the cycle of self-condemnation. It shifts his identity from failure to student, from mistake to lesson. Suddenly, he starts seeing his past as a teacher, not a curse. He begins to understand money differently. He studies, he saves, he starts again, not from scratch, but from experience. His life changes, not because the past changed, but because his perspective did. That's what this statement does. It reclaims your power from the hands of yesterday. When you rise each morning and remind yourself that you are your growth, you give yourself permission to evolve. You create space for compassion. You allow healing to happen. You understand that everyone has a past, but not everyone has the courage to grow from it. Growth doesn't erase the past. It transforms it into something useful. That bad relationship, it taught you self-worth. That failure, it taught you resilience. That betrayal, it taught you boundaries. You see, nothing was wasted. It was all preparation for who you are becoming. Think of nature. A caterpillar doesn't stay crawling on the ground, ashamed of its early form. It enters the cocoon, dark, still, unknown, and comes out with wings. It doesn't fly in shame. It flies in transformation. Why? Because it accepted the process. You must do the same. Your cocoon seasons, those dark, confusing, silent times, are not proof of failure. They're the sacred space where growth happens in silence. There's a quiet kind of power in forgiving yourself, in waking up and saying, yes, I did that. Yes, I went through that. But that's not who I am anymore. You begin to take ownership of your transformation. You begin to see yourself not as someone broken, but someone rebuilt, someone wiser, someone stronger. And this inner shift radiates. People can feel it when you've grown from your past instead of being trapped by it. Your energy changes. Your decisions change. Your life changes. Another real-world example. A woman once silenced herself because someone in her past told her she wasn't good enough, that her voice didn't matter. She carried that lie for years, letting it shape her decisions. She stayed quiet in meetings. She avoided leadership roles. But one morning, she stood before her reflection and whispered, I am not my past. I am my growth. That sentence opened something inside her. She realized she'd been living under someone else's definition of her worth. And that day, she chose to write her own. Slowly, she started speaking up. Her voice shook at first, but it grew stronger each time. Not because the past was erased, but because she refused to let it lead her future anymore. Growth is not loud. It doesn't always announce itself. It shows up in small choices, in showing up again, trying again, believing again. It's in the way you get back up, the way you choose peace over chaos, the way you forgive instead of holding on. Every morning that you speak this truth, you're aligning with your evolution. You are refusing to shrink into outdated versions of yourself. And let's be clear, people may still try to define you by who you were. They may bring up your past, remind you of your worst moments. But when you know who you are now, their words lose power. Growth gives you the strength to smile and say, yes, that was me, but I'm not her anymore. I've grown. So let this truth live in you. Let it wrap around your morning like light. Say it until you believe it. I am not my past. I am my growth. Say it until the chains of regret break, until shame dissolves, until your soul breathes again. Because your story isn't over. And the next chapter is written by who you choose to be, not who you used to be. Let these words echo through your mind each morning, before the world tells you otherwise. In a society constantly trying to convince you that you're not enough, that you need more. More money, more approval, more education, more validation. It takes radical courage to declare, I already have what it takes. I already carry the tools, the strength, the wisdom within me. This isn't pride, it's power. It's not self-centeredness. It's self-awareness rooted in divine truth. From the moment you were born, you weren't given a blank slate. You were given a full blueprint. The potential, the vision, the endurance, the courage, it's all in there. The world may try to bury it beneath doubt, fear, and comparison, but it doesn't erase it. It's like a seed covered by dirt. It may be hidden, but it's never absent. The difference between the person who grows and the one who stays stuck is simple. One believes in what's buried inside, and the other keeps looking outside. Let's take a moment to consider the lives we admire. Think of a single mother working 2 jobs, raising her children, cooking meals, solving problems, and still finding a way to encourage others. Where did her strength come from? No one handed it to her. It was already in her. Think of a young man who once stuttered and was too afraid to speak publicly. But he kept practicing, kept believing. One day he stood up and gave a speech that moved people to tears. The power to communicate was always inside him. He just had to activate it. That's what happens when you stop searching for miracles and start recognizing that you are one. When you believe that everything you need is already within you, you stop begging life to be easier and start training yourself to be stronger. You stop waiting for someone to come and fix you because you realize you were never broken, just buried. Your confidence is in there. Your creativity is in there. Your ideas, your healing, your leadership. It's all waiting for your permission to come alive. The moment you speak this truth over yourself each morning, you awaken your potential. Think of the lotus flower. It grows in the murkiest waters, surrounded by mud, submerged in darkness. Yet somehow, it rises and blooms with such beauty that no one can deny its purpose. The lotus doesn't wait for clean water. It uses what it has. You are the same. Maybe life gave you pain, confusion, rejection. But what if that wasn't meant to destroy you, but to draw out your inner power? You don't need perfect conditions to grow. You need inner conviction. This truth becomes even more real when you start applying it in everyday situations. Imagine you're at work, facing a difficult project that feels overwhelming. Most people panic, stall, or doubt themselves. But you pause, breathe, and remind yourself, everything I need is already within me. Suddenly, you remember past challenges you've already overcome. You recall your ability to think clearly under pressure. You feel the presence of a calm wisdom that doesn't come from books. It comes from your spirit. And from that space, you act. You move forward, not with arrogance, but with assurance. You don't have to fake confidence when you know the source that built you. You don't have to compare yourself to others. When you recognize your own lane, you stop being impressed by someone else's highlight reel and start becoming devoted to your own process. Why? Because your value is not in what others see. It's in what God already placed inside. Now, let's be honest. There will be days when you don't feel powerful. Days when doubt screams louder than truth. That's why this morning declaration is not optional. It's essential. You must speak it until your soul believes it. Speak it when you feel unqualified. Speak it when your dreams look too big. Speak it when fear tries to paralyze you. Everything I need is already within me. Say it until the lies in your head surrender to the truth in your spirit. This mindset does not eliminate challenges, but it changes your posture toward them. You no longer see problems as walls, but as mirrors. They don't block you, they reveal you. They show you your resilience, your intelligence, your inner grit. Each time you rise, it's proof that what you need is already inside. You don't borrow courage, you release it. You don't wish for peace, you choose it. You don't hope to be strong, you remember that you already are. Even in moments of silence, when the world seems distant and answers feel delayed, remind yourself silence is not emptiness. It's space. Space for reflection, space for growth, space for your inner truth to whisper louder than outer distractions. And don't confuse humility with self-doubt. Believing in what's inside you is not pride, it's alignment. God did not make you fragile. He made you equipped, and to deny your potential is to deny the wisdom of your Creator. So when you speak this truth, you're not just empowering yourself, you're honoring the one who designed you. So tomorrow morning and every morning after, look in the mirror and say it like a promise. Everything I need is already within me. Say it until your spine straightens, your mind clears, and your spirit aligns. Say it until the world around you adjusts to the power rising inside you. Because it's true. It's always been true.